And yes, here we are for Rebel Republic. You're either with us or you're against us. I'm your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. To my right, instead of my left, Frank Cristiano, the voice of reason.
We had to switch.
And, of course, the coach himself, Coach Schumann.
Hi.
We are the top conservative local political show in all of Worcester, but we are the best conservative show in all of Massachusetts, in all of Vermont, in all of New Hampshire, in all of Maine, Delaware, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York. Nobody touches us.
Are there any other conservative talk shows?
No,
There aren't. That's why we're number one.
There's no conservative talk show in Worcester.
I've seen what comes out of Worcester. There definitely is not much conservative talk coming out of Worcester.
There's no local conservative talk show in Utica.
No.
They rely on us.
I'm sure they do.
So it's a big responsibility for us to deliver.
Right.
And that's why we are the best of the best. We are elite. We are the Navy SEALs of conservative
the
talk
Navy
show.
SEALs on Memorial Day.
The Navy SEAls of conservative talk show.
Wow. I'm sure that's an insult to every Navy SEAL. But sure,
No, we are. We're the best of the best.
All right, if you say so.
So I have to start by asking, a lot of news came out over the weekend because of the book that's being released by two writers. I believe one of them was from CNN.
Okay.
And it's called, yes. And a lot of people were mad at him because they're saying he's kind of flip-flopping. But it's called Original Sin. And it chronicles Joe Biden's presidency and both of his presidential runs and how he was insulated and protected. His mental decline had started during the first presidential race, not even the term. He was protected by his famous Dr. Jill and a group called the Politburo, as it was named, because it was like Russia, where this group made decisions, and he was somewhat a part of it. And, he would approve things, but he really didn't know what was going on. And they told a story about how during his campaign, they tried to put together a speech, like a commercial, to endorse him. And he was so bad, they did it for hours, take after take after take, and he just kept screwing it up. So they gave up on it. So it's getting a lot of, I guess, anger and heat right now because this was allowed to go on. And as I mentioned to Frank, I said that there should be an investigation because he was allowed to be president when they knew his mental health and dementia was progressing. And you don't think there should
It's a waste of time.
We
talked about this 100 times.
Yes.
It's a waste of time because nothing will ever come about.
Why?
Nothing will ever come about it.
Nothing will. Nothing. They can't do anything.
Listen.
No one will go to jail.
You've seen dozens of congressional hearings right now that the Republicans, the GOP, have called against witnesses and against people involved in various factions of what went on the last 4 years. Whether it be for COVID, whether it be for border security, or whether it be for business, whether it be for international affairs. And you've seen dozens of hearings. And what will come about from those? Nothing. All you're doing is getting information. So the best thing a conservative can do, if you are conservative minded, if you are...
Well, people are angry right now.
But the best thing you can do as a conservative is to create a memory bank and share that memory bank with anyone who sort of poo-poos in your face about what you're actually trying to relate to and talk about, because that's the problem. The problem is you will have these leftists come out of nowhere and have no agreeable points whatsoever. Listen, I'm fine. I can reach in the middle with some of these things. I'm okay with, medical coverage. I think there's got to be, it's got to be revamped, and everyone needs coverage. Social Security, that needs revamping too, and people need to be taken care of a little more housing. I'm with on a lot of these things. I can get to the middle. These crazy lunatics on the left can't. They can't get to the middle. All they can do is scream and yell as their opposition to what is happening right now. What is happening right now is probably the greatest revolutionary movement in the history of this country since 1776.
Since he's been in office.
And what I mean by that is this: people are starting to wake up and are starting to understand that what has been put in front of their eyes the last 40, 50, 60 years has all been a farce. It has been a farce led by a corrupt media who has been in cohort with liberal views, liberal education, liberal politics, liberal talking, and liberal finance. And their idea is to sway the view and the motion of the world towards a much more liberal society. And what they haven't realized is that they've gone too far to the left. They have strangled the average citizen.
Yes.
They have even lost their own voting power in their party, which means Hispanics, African Americans, they are leaving the party.
They are.
And when they leave the party, their party becomes useless. Their numbers are insignificant. So bottom line, we are seeing a re-education of America, a recommitment to America, okay, and an angle and a view that needs to be taken up over the path of not just these 4 years, but the next 14 to 20 years
to get it back on track.
To be able to get us back on track to where we can finally breathe a little.
Yeah. Dave, what do you think?
Yes.
Because, one of the biggest things was Special Counsel Robert Hur declined to prosecute Biden for mishandling the classified documents that he had, because he said he viewed him as a sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. Yeah. Trump had Mar-a-Lago raided, and he was prosecuted for having classified documents. The double standard there,
hypocrisy.
We're giving this man a pass. Because why? Because he's
because he's loving and compassionate.
He's here.
I'll bring him on in a second after my answer.
He's here.
My answer is very simple. What you have on the left is complete and total corruption.
That's what it sounds like. Yes.
And what you have is a desire to undermine the American Republic by the left, a calculated effort to do so. And
by several people.
Partially successful effort.
It was.
To change and America into a place that is unrecognizable because they're trying to have a globalist agenda. The left has a globalist agenda, okay? And that's the only way to put it. Now, there are things that are global within the world of what we do. Obviously, there's a lot of economic things that have global ramifications. You know, commerce is done globally, but we have to be able to separate commerce that is done globally and how we also protect our interests as Americans, as our own sovereign nation. And that's what I think the left has done their very best to try and undermine. With that said, I'll bring on our good friend.
There he is. The our special political correspondent, Warhead. Huh?
First of all, Dave, I just want to say, very well said. Very astute eye recognizing all of that. And we're going to get right into it. I guess we are. Many people don't want to hear. Many people don't want to hear what you just said. That the left has become, frankly, un-American, and they're pushing ideals that are un-American and trying to make the American way of life a globalist way of life, and not a good globalist way of life. A globalist way of life like Klaus Schwab explained, you'll have nothing, you will own nothing, but you'll be happy. Bro, fuck all the way off.
That's true.
Like, yeah. Like that was kind of I'm not saying word for word carbon copy. That's what a person like AOC wanted, but it's the direction they were going in, especially when you're looking at Democrats that describe themselves as leftists. You think Iman Omar, she's pushing ideals that are blatantly un-American. The way of life in Minnesota has become borderline unrecognizable. We're
Yeah.
talking about like a real salty earth place in America, a hardworking people that brave long winters, has amazing culture of togetherness, community, and hockey. To be honest, like
Yeah.
that's basically the culture. And now it's become a cold weather Islamic
Yes.
substate.
Correct.
Minnesota?
Yes.
Islam?
Yes.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Minneapolis is gone.
Gone.
Wow. Okay.
I love Tyler coming on like this. Right now, I feel I should be like live from the front lines of Gaza. Rebel Republic reporter Tyler King.
I did. He's our political correspondent.
Yeah.
He's our political correspondent. So, Frank, I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
That the Democrats were mostly angry about the June debate.
They're always angry, but go ahead.
And they said that
They're always outraged about something.
there should have been, Biden should have stepped away.
Yeah.
And there should have been a primary for the Democrats.
Easy
Of
to
course
say
there
now
should
by
have.
them.
They were furious.
Wait, Steve. What do you mean? We should have followed American law, policy, and precedent? Of course we should have. But what's happened a lot of times on the Democratic side, they make the rules up as they go along. And they justify it with big trigger words like, we're protecting the democracy. Oh, we're doing what's best. We gotta get Donald Trump out of power at all costs. So that's why we have this emergency situation. We don't need to have a primary. We got Kamala. She's ready to go. We don't have time. They had plenty of time. They could have ran a primary across the country. They could have had the national convention. They could have. Do they realize, like, in the early 1900s to 1950, in the 1800s, they would a lot of times have an emergency 11th hour candidate emerge out of nowhere.
Really?
Oh yeah, that would happen all the time at primaries. Like, I think one of the big things is someone like Bernie Sanders or AOC or whoever, a dark horse could have gotten a nomination.
Could have emerged.
They would have had to have found a way to get rid of it, and they couldn't Bernie Sanders the entire situation twice. Bernie Sanders won the Democratic primary, I believe. What year was it, Dave? Was it 2016?
Yeah,
2016.
Yeah.
He won the primary, one of those two cycles. They said, "Oh, cool story. We're run by."
Well, they ran Hillary.
Oh,
yes,
no,
until 2016.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Hillary. Yeah.
So
we're getting the first Bernie Sanders. Too bad. We're running the first women president. You will all elect the most unlikable, corrupt politician ever because she's a woman.
My question, Dave and Frank, was it single-handedly Biden's decision to run again? Like, did he have to get nominated by the Democratic Party? Did they have to support him, or could he just have said, "Hi, I'm running again"?
He would have got nominated. They nominate him.
Yeah, even Steve, it's policy.
So they did pick him. Okay,
Steve, it's policy. Even when there's an incumbent president, they still have the national convention.
They have to nominate him.
Have the primary. A lot of the times, what those primaries do, it's a lot of candidates that could be good in the future, getting their feet wet, understanding the process, and getting their name out there, so the next cycle they can possibly get nominated when that president runs out his term or whatever the case may be.
Okay, give me 5 minutes. Okay, Dave, so Biden should not have run again, clearly. So the Democrats should have just had a primary and different candidates would have stepped up, and the same thing state to state, they would have voted and somebody new would have emerged.
Correct.
And you,
correct.
And you think that probably would have been best than propping up Biden. And they propped him up because did they honestly think that he had the best chance to win? Or like
I think before the collapse of the primary, they probably did. I would think they probably did think because he was the incumbent.
And
right, guys, I'm also gonna throw something else out there.
Yeah,
They probably also thought they could straight cheat again.
Yeah,
yes, absolutely.
They probably thought they could still stuff ballot boxes.
I agree.
Pull some fuckery. But
right. 5 minutes, Tyler. Dave, the other thing I read was they thought
don't talk. Stop making good points.
Well, I gotta give everyone a chance to talk.
What's 5 minutes, by the way?
I want Tyler to not.
It's a moratorium.
I won't interrupt. Go, Steve.
No, because I also read that part of the plan was they legitimately thought Biden was going to die in office, and then Kamala was going to take over, regardless.
That was the plan.
Yeah.
According to the book Original Sin, that was the plan. They planned on him winning, dying in office after a year, and Kamala taking over because
that is so absurd. That is is absurd.
Because they knew.
True.
Hey, it's absurd, but it's plausible.
It's in the book.
I'm not saying it's not plausible. It is absurd thought process. It is.
But as far as it actually happening, it's plausible.
I agree. It was because of his mental acuity, and now with the stage 4 prostate cancer,
He was supposed to die of cancer. He refused to die.
How could you think to run a country with that mindset?
I know, but that's what
they were
that's
hungry for power.
Dave, they ran the country. They ran the country the last probably year and a half.
Yeah,
with one of his advisors, his crackhead son,
correct,
his pseudo doctor wife, and 2 idiots.
Yeah, they were called
5 people ran the country with an auto sign pen.
The Politburo, as they were called.
So the bottom line, it doesn't matter who's there once you're in. Once you're in, and anybody can pull the strings, especially if you're senile. I mean, we didn't see the guy during the 2020 primaries. We didn't see the guy once. He was in the basement.
You're right.
And apparently in the last
hiding from COVID.
He was hiding. Yeah, right. He was hiding from actually have to speak in public settings. He was done then. And then we have a track record. This is how stupid many American people in the public are. They are so stupid. The ones that back this administration, these laws that were created by them, this sentiment in the country that was proposed by them. Bottom line, the guy can't get up a fucking flight of stairs on the plane 3 different times, tripping over himself.
They showed him tripping. Yep.
He falls over on his own bicycle ride. The whole bike ticks over like a moron. Only morons tip over on a bike and they can't put their foot down.
The bike wipeout was the best one ever. That was the best Biden wipeout.
He tripped off a podium stage while coming off.
No. He stopped the bike, both feet off the ground.
Right.
Then leaned to one side and just went.
It was like a Bugs Bunny episode.
Right? Yeah.
So he tripped off a podium. His wife had to help him off a podium after a speech. He slipped off a podium, coming down the podium after one of his speeches. He, as the famed comedian Shane Gillis says, he looks like a Roomba. When he's done with his speech, he's turning in all different directions, very stiffly trying to vacuum the rug.
All right. So, Steve, I would interrupt. But hey, Frank, remember what Shane Gillis said? Joe Biden was like one of the presidents you could was the only president you could ever punch assassinate.
Right.
Dude.
Right.
Like, wait, like you think I could punch assassinate him? Or you think like Francis Ngannou could punch assassinate him.
No, I'm
anyone.
pretty sure.
I think
anyone
my dog could punch assassinate him. And we have speech after speech after speech that's on record of him
They had to
fumbling
shorten it.
words,
Yeah, they had to
of
shorten
him
his
being totally off topic, of him stumbling through sentences, of him reading like when you have a teleprompter and the teleprompter says stop for applause, you would be like, and that's the way the country needs to go. Stop for applause.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? That's only retards talk like that.
Okay, you can't use the word
I can
retard.
use it. I'll use it as many
We
times
can
as I
say
want.
retard.
Right.
We
You're
can
like,
say
it's back.
retard.
It's back. It's 2020, 2025. It's back.
Back.
Okay.
Right.
It's back. Yeah.
So
We're not-
if we can't see all those flubs and know that this guy was off in left field and the
Yeah.
country was being run, the country was being run by drug addict, sympathetic to the left and gay liberal pride clauses and
It was run by 5 people.
They were those
Yeah.
5 people
Like
took
you-
every extreme view
Also,
that could possibly be taken.
Frank, you think like so the extreme leftist cabinet members could figure out a way to work in the inner circle through their daily dealings in the White House so they could influence, hey, Mr. President, this is a new law, like get Biden inside the auto bed. You think that wasn't a thing?
No, I agree. Now, Tyler, I have to let Dave talk.
Yeah, please.
Dave,
Oh,
so basically, the book states that Biden's aides were willing to do undemocratic things to cover up for Biden's mental decline. And they made the majority of the decisions. They kept him away from his cabinet. There were people that had no idea what was going on. And his speeches, they considerably had to cut shorter and shorter and shorter. Questions had to be given out predetermined. He could not answer a question on the spot. They did so much to cover up everything, the liability that this guy was. Like the biggest thing they said is that a president has to be ready to go. If at 2:00 in the morning there's a crisis, he has to get up and be presidential, make decisions, and if we're at war or something, get things on track. They said Biden was not even close to capable.
Who's getting that fucking guy up at 2 a.m.?
Well,
Who is rolling him over in the bed at 2 a.m. and getting him up? You got to be shitting me that that's going to happen.
That's what I'm asking Dave. Like, what do you think about all this, that the Democrats went to this length to keep him in power, knowing that he was incapable of doing anything asked of him?
Tyler, are you okay?
Yeah, he's just
I'm
smoking
good.
weed. Okay.
Listen, I'll jump in. Jill and Hunter made those decisions. You go, Dave.
Oh shit!
So yeah, they went that far to keep Trump out.
Yeah, I think the whole thing comes down to it's making sure that Trump does not get back into power, and that's what the whole thing comes down to.
Yes.
And the sad part is that they don't care about the American people.
No,
Like
they really didn't.
Say petty war against them who hate Trump, the groups who hate Trump for whatever Trump, what they think Trump stands for, and battling with Trump. Like, they don't care about the American people. The left is so far gone as far as what they believe in. I don't even know exactly what they believe in 100%, other than
They're all over the place.
all un-American. It's almost all un-American. And when I listen to the things that they say, like, everything is racial, everything is victimhood, everything is people are out to get me. Like, they're because it's like I look at it like this. It's like, and you guys have coached and played. Okay, coaches in college or even in high school, they go round and round and round, right? They go from place to place. when you get a coach that comes to you the first time, an assistant coach, and says, you're looking to hire him, and you say, what happened at the place before? And he said, well, I got screwed over, blah, 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 whatever, right? Or this, I didn't get along with this guy or what. Then it comes around to the next person, you hear it again a second time. When you hear it a third time, you say to yourself, maybe it
wasn't, yeah.
Maybe it's them, right? You kind of first time you say, okay, maybe things happen. Second time, maybe things. After a while, you start to say maybe it's them. Now, it doesn't mean it is, but that's the mentality that the left has. Everybody else is at fault for everything that happens to every person that is somehow disenfranchised, and nobody has accountability for anything. And Trump is some, like, they believe that Trump is somehow going to go in and I don't know, throw them in.
He thought he'd ruin the country. Yeah,
it's absurd. The bottom line is immigration has to be legal. People who are studying in the United States, if you are a student and you are against America, get the fuck out. Why are you here?
Right.
Get the fuck out.
Right.
Yeah. I love it.
Listen, no one's saying you can't study.
Yeah.
You just can't study here.
Death to the country, but pay my education first.
I mean, come on, dude. It's like.
Yeah, that happened at Harvard. Yep.
They just make shit. Dave, did you know that today is Africa Day?
If a dog takes a shit in the street, it's another thing if it takes a shit in your yard.
Right. Dave, did you know today is Africa Day?
No.
You didn't know that today is Africa Day?
Well, it's Memorial Day.
No, it's also, I just heard this. It just came out. This is no lie. The mayor of Chicago declared today, it just must have declared himself, because I looked on the calendar. I couldn't find Africa Day. He declared Happy Africa Day today on Memorial Day for the accomplishments that Africans have made throughout the history of society. This is the problem of any leftist, is that they just make fucking shit up in their mind and it becomes reality. Trump is a Nazi. Reality. My Social Security is going to be eliminated. Reality. Medicaid coverage is going to be gone forever. Reality. They live off of these insecurities and fears that they fester in the back of their brains, instead of opening their eyes and realizing that 99% of the shit that you're saying is not even happening.
No.
If these people think that they're a victim now, wait till AI completely starts to push jobs out and everything like that. If people don't get their shit together and figure out how to take ownership of their own lives and what they want to do, AI, if you just type for a living as your job, you know what? There's going to be an AI bot that's going to take over that. You're gone.
I bet there's a few Columbia grads that have that ability. Hey, what did you graduate? What's your degree in? Typing. 95,000 a year typing.
So Tyler, one of the anonymous aides for Biden said in the book that he just had to win, and then he could disappear for 4 years. Yeah. He'd only have to show proof of life once in a while, and everyone else would pick up the slack.
Weekend at Bernie's.
That was referenced here. Weekend at Bernie's. They said that's what it would have been.
Yeah.
And that's would have been how our country was run.
Yeah, this sounds about right. First of all, because I promised I wouldn't interrupt, I would have said.
No, that's why I asked you.
Dave, if we were in a Baptist church, I would have said amen about 87 times during your diatribe there. He
How
said
did they do that? Was that, or they hoped he would die and then Kamala would take over?
A little of column A, a lot of column B.
Yeah.
No one expected him. They knew about the cancer too. No one expected him to make it this far.
No, nobody did.
He, like a true politician, like a true cockroach, he effing survived.
He survived.
But I mean, legitimately, had he won, he would have died during this term, and we would have gotten Kamala.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's the
listen.
crazy part.
Listen to
That
all
was
the
exactly their plan. And
It
with
was.
that, I like Steve. We'll come back to the question you asked me before, but that was their ultimate plan. Kamala was like the ultimate plan.
Yeah, I know.
Progressives. That was the highest office they could get someone into, and she was super qualified. Listen.
Well,
I'm
that, they
not,
even said
I'm
that in
not
the
saying
book.
I'm not saying anything that's not a proven fact right now.
No, they said
Kamala
that in the book.
Harris was hired.
Yeah, she checked all the boxes.
No. Kamala Harris, at one point in her life, was hired arm candy for Montel Williams.
Yes.
Yes, you did say that before. You did say that before. But yeah,
It's
true.
The truth. Exactly.
Montel said it.
super
Montel
qualified.
said it.
She was the progressives, the extreme left movement, whatever, group, etc. She's there, like she's the person they almost got the presidency. They got such a hold of the Democratic Party. They still have a big part of the Democratic Party that was as high as they could get their agenda. Now we're back to the way of the side. So now they're playing damage control. Oh, Trump's war. This is happening. He's ruining our democracy. He's attacking our democracy through the Supreme Court because of this ruling. Because there's just one thing after the other, and it's proving fruitless. So they're getting abandoned. So hopefully that agenda will die, but most likely we're going to see a shift on the left to something more practical.
There's not a loyal liberal out there.
Yep.
There's not a so if Trump lost in 2020, okay,
Yep.
the Republicans be able to back him. Like, damn it, he lost. We don't think he lost. We're backing him still, right?
They stuck with him, right?
So when Biden came out and in 2024 he's going to run, we're like, yeah, liberals like, we love this guy. He's in the fucking best shape of his life.
Yeah,
he's the sharpest Joe Biden
great.
we've ever seen, right?
Yes.
Then all of a sudden he gets on the stage and he stumbles and people are like, oh my Christ, we can't let this guy run. And then he gets on there and instead of allowing for, different names to come up, he's like, I back Kamala Harris. Everyone's like, yeah, Kamala Harris. Now we're for Kamala Harris.
Yeah,
Fuck Joe Biden.
In the book, they slammed Kamala
That's
Harris.
all right. No, she was their champion. She was what was that damn song they kept playing all the time? That female empowerment song. Like, yeah, we're gonna get behind Kamala and we're gonna win this fucking thing. And then Kamala loses, and then they're like, fuck Kamala. We should have had Shapiro. How did we pick Kamala? It was Joe Biden was they can't blame enough people on the left. The finger pointing going all the way around. They're in total chaos. They are two fucking shit stains away from blowing that whole party up. I'm telling you right now.
Like Dave, in the book though, they said that Kamala was lazy. She didn't make enough appearances, and she wasn't great at her job. And that Obama did not want Biden to run again, and it was.
She wasn't great at her job. What the fuck does she have to do as vice president?
They said that in the book.
What does she have to do? Show up and wave?
But that's what I'm saying. Why
go negotiate your rights with Uganda?
I gotta let Dave talk.
Frank. She was the vice president. She was the vice president. She had to hold state meetings. She had to preside over the Senate. She had to run summits when the president was doing something else. Do you think she was good at that stuff?
No, she wasn't.
She would smile, like she could laugh and do this and but it's not like she could command the room the way Trump.
No, she wasn't a leader.
Or JD Vance could.
JD Vance,
at least Biden could get that respect and reverence.
Well, he used to.
Because he had been a politician and in the government and the Senate for so long. It was like reflex for him. He could do certain things. Other things, like engaging, he was fucking gone. Right. So,
5 minutes, Tyler. 5 minute break. Okay. Dave, your thoughts? Because in the book, it does say that they did not want Kamala, like she was bad at her job. They say that in the book. And it said Obama did not want Biden to run because he was afraid that he didn't want him to embarrass himself. He said that
he certainly did. My favorite part of Kamala's campaign was when she brought out Sexy Red and Glorilla to twerk on stage.
Well, she paid $11 million to Beyonce to show up on stage
and wave.
That came out of the party. $11 million they paid these celebrities, and allegedly they were pissed at Clooney because Clooney penned a letter to Biden about not running again. And I don't know if that was made public or not. They talked about it in the book.
He penned it to the Washington Post or New York Times, where he said he didn't give it to Biden.
Yes.
He said Biden was so incoherent, he didn't know what was going on. We got to make a switch now.
He didn't know who Clooney was.
Right.
So, Dave,
I wouldn't know who Clooney was.
What were your thoughts on this, that all this was going
on? My thoughts are simply that first of all, the Democratic Party has no real leadership.
No, it's all over the place.
They lack leadership. The last person to lead their party successly is
Obama.
Really Obama and Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
Bill, obviously Obama for 8 years, and then, but Obama he led during the time when he was president, but he was really very new to politics. So he's not and I think Obama just does not give a fuck. Once he got out there, I just don't think he cares. He cares. I know he cares.
Dave, great take.
Yeah. Bill Clinton is really the last true of the Democratic Party. He was a long time.
Well, he made a lot of changes.
He was a governor of Arkansas.
Dave, he was the last deep South Democrat too.
Yes, right. And he was from the South. He was able to carry states in the South. He was able to cross the aisle, even though he fucked up a lot, but
so did Kennedy.
But when he was the last true leader. And listen, he extended all the way to Hillary being the nominee. That's how much power Bill Clinton had. Yeah. And the Clintons, that they were able to put her in that position.
She ran twice. Yeah. She ran in 2008 and 2016. Yeah.
He's a terrible candidate.
The book that you're quoting from right now, right? Okay. So here's
Original Sin.
Here's the hypocrisy of the left too, and the hypocrisy of the media.
I know. The guy that wrote it.
The guy that wrote it was there.
Was against the
No. The guy that wrote it was there following along the Biden administration and getting backdoor notes and secretly talking to people and accumulating information to write this book.
Yes.
Jake Tapper jumped on 0 Hour.
Right.
And all of a sudden he's like, oh, Jake Tapper, and jumped on as part promoter of this book to slap his name on it because now it would bring more validity to the book, right?
Correct.
But Jake Tapper was the same guy telling us that Biden was totally coherent.
And he admits that in the book.
So he's lying too. He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
He admits that he made a mistake.
He's not wrong. He's lying.
Frank, I'm saying
he admits to that though.
He's backstabbing 100%. He's backstabbing, which is definitely a Democratic trait, but
he's a rat. He's a rat.
Yeah,
but he admits it,
the way they're presenting it, the way it's being presented, and this might be a ploy too, probably is, as his conscience finally got the better of him.
That's very true. That's exactly what he said. He did say his conscience.
His conscience. Yeah, his conscience.
No, he did say that. He said that the truth came out.
But it's bullshit.
You really think it is bullshit?
But Frank's point, Frank's point, can we really trust anyone there? Because that's what they do.
Right. Well, no, but some of the stuff in this book is just outrageous. Like to think that that's how our country is being run.
You got to stop for a second, and you got to see. This is again where the liberals, if you're way to the left, you don't focus straight and look through things. You are those zombies in what was that movie, The Mummy? Remember Emotep? That's a liberal. If you can't see, if you can't see straight through this shit, if you can't see that Joe Scarborough on MSNBC got up before the primary,
this is the sharpest Joe Biden I've ever seen.
If you don't believe me, then fuck you. That's what he said. Yes, on air.
Wow,
he said that.
Wow.
And
Yeah,
now,
he did.
And then he comes back and apologizes.
He was the tough man liberal.
Yeah, he's a jerk off. Well, no, wait a minute. You're telling me that I'm going to now all of a sudden turn around and trust that guy for anything he says?
Right, because
after he does that, and he knows they all got behind it. You know why?
They all did.
They didn't want Donald Trump. They didn't want the 2024, the 2.0 Donald Trump. See, Trump made mistakes in his first term. The mistakes were this. He trusted too many people that he didn't know because he wasn't a politician. And they all ended up fucking him in the end. They ended up ratting on him. They ended up writing false stories about him. They ended up showing you.
He got impeached twice.
It doesn't matter how many times he got impeached. They would impeach him 50 times if they could have. But all it does is it made him stronger because more and more people have woken up and see the lies of bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, now he has he made a couple of fumbles with a couple of appointments, but he knows the people now. He's been able to cut through all the quote-unquote politics of it.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yes.
that's why we're getting results quickly.
Like, Dave, wouldn't you say since Trump has been in, he has drastically changed our country for the better? The moves that he's made, the executive orders that he's made, Doge taking control. He has significantly started, at least, to put us back on track.
Oh yeah, I think Trump has executed on his agenda the second he got in office. I think
But
that
it was such a mess. He had to clean up.
The mess is monumental and catastrophic. It's you have a country that half the country really believes that the other half of the country is evil. It's insane. It's insane. The left thinks that we're colonists. The left thinks that we're colonists in the country that we took a move to.
Founded a country we founded.
We founded. They're colonists. And listen, look, I've read a lot of history on the Indians, and yes, there was a lot of areas where they were wrong. There's no doubt about it. Okay, but you can't tell me that the Indians weren't across the United States as American Indian country. That wasn't the country. They were tribes. They were tribes that were conquered, and throughout time, these things have happened throughout time. Okay, it's absurd to try and say that we're colonists 300 years later. It's absurd. The country, all different countries are started in certain places.
Listen.
Different areas.
Listen, no, Dave. As a actual Indian, I say you all made the right decision. Like, I'm a registered member of an Indian tribe.
Oh,
it went the right way.
That makes sense. Dave,
you guys did the right thing.
Well, I think it's a big part of it is people view American Indians like they were all one they were all their own countries.
They were all their own tribes.
All their own tribes and nations.
They all didn't like each other.
Yeah.
A huge land. It's
Dave, not to mention when the white people would come to the land, whether it was a wagon with a family in it or it was a garrison of soldiers, the Indians, the natives Native Americans would attack that tribe, attack that family, and kill and steal and do whatever.
Yeah, they weren't
as many of
one.
them as they could.
Well, that's what Trump's doing right now to all the immigrants. That's what they're saying online. I mean,
Exactly.
ICE is killing people, and
No, they're throwing bags over their heads and taking.
let me make another point on how the idiocracy behind
All right,
liberal thought.
like one thing I'll throw in before you say that, Frank. Right now, one of the champions of the left is someone that got deported to, what was it, Guatemala, and got put in, remember, MS-13, got put in a prison. Well, it was Guatemala, it was Venezuela, I forget. But he got transferred to a prison in another country, and he's a champion of the left. And the big debate is whether or not the tattoos on his fingers were computer generated in America.
Oh, I know what you're talking
Nobody
about.
even remembers that case anymore. We moved on. It's called smoke and mirrors.
that's the point.
Venezuelan,
right.
Frank, the point I'm making is that was a champion of the left.
Right,
That was like
right. For
one of their
2
points.
weeks.
And
For 2
yeah,
weeks.
now it's gone.
But here's my thing on the stupidity of thought. So I got a friend out in the West Coast. He's a good friend. I love him to death, but he's so far to the left it's crazy. So he posts every day something anti-Trump. He's got to put it out there. And he's a smart dude, man. He's really smart dude.
Educated one.
He went to Cortland actually, so it's not like he's but he's a smart dude. So he's out there and he posts something about RFK Jr. He's saying, don't take medical advice from me in one of his statements. I'm just here to try to reform things. And so he says, thank you, Trump supporters, for this incompetence of putting RFK, who has no medical knowledge, as Health and Human Services Director, right? So then I got to look up. I'm like, well, who the hell was the Health and Human Services Director under Biden, right?
Right.
Health and Human Services Director, Xavier Becerra, an American attorney and politician who served as the 25th United States Secretary of Health. So bottom line,
He had no medical.
the hypocrisy of saying that RFK Jr. has no medical history or knowledge as compared to Xavier Becerra, who did it. All it is that you can't stand Donald Trump and you can't stand any really conservative thought because you feel like handcuffs and shackles are being put on you.
Yeah.
That's all it is. That's what the left has come down to now. The imagery in their mind scares them so much that if you walk down the street and you just go boo, they're going to call assault and ask for police help, against you.
If it wasn't Trump who had run, do you think there would be this much controversy, this much work to try to keep a Republican out of office?
I'm going to answer that because no one else would have won. It would have been a democracy. Kamala Harris would have won.
DeSantis. Like, you don't think DeSantis couldn't have won?
Nope.
Dave?
I don't know. I think it would depend on the campaign. I don't want to say that someone else would not have won. I do think that
The Democrats would have still fought this hard to stay in office, regardless if Trump was running or not.
I don't know. I mean, obviously they have a vendetta on Trump.
Yes.
They can't stand him. I think that the bigger part of it is the Democrat Party is controlled. It's a party that is concerned completely with people's identity only. It's not even they don't even have political views.
No.
They don't ask a leftist, what should we do about immigration? Okay. What should we do about global commerce where China is able to undercut pricing? And what should we do about it? Should we allow them to continue to use the slave labor that they have to get cheaper goods over there?
Trump's a Nazi.
Yeah.
Should we allow that? They don't even have an answer. They have no clue.
No,
Trump's a Nazi.
The only thing they want to do is allow people to get married, no matter what person they are. They want to have men play women's sports.
Yes.
That's all they care about. That's all they care about. They want to make sure Caitlin Clark is fouled out of the WNBA. I mean, that's what they want, you know. Oh, you know, I mean, it's
medical coverage for all,
free
Social
college,
Security, free college, free education, no paybacks on loans, 30-hour work week.
I don't have a problem with
universal health.
I don't either.
Access to medical coverage. There has to be a path. Listen, the one thing
just
about
has to be
AI,
reformed.
in a very short time period, the healthcare companies are going to have to leverage AI to start making it, from a drug standpoint, better
Wow.
drugs to be able to help solve things like cancer and those kind of things, because those things are going to get solved. It's just a matter
AI
of
will
time.
figure it out. Wow.
Oh, it's just a matter of time. It's a matter of time, and it's a matter of whether the drug companies are going to allow it to happen.
Right.
Because there's no doubt that AI, the pace it's going at, within
It's progressing.
2
Yep.
years, will know the answers to a lot of these questions.
Wow.
Right.
No doubt.
Wow. I didn't
They
know that.
know it already, but it may not be refined. You know what I'm saying? It may not be refined. Like there may be errors, but they probably already have a clue as to a lot of these things. The problem is that, you know, the pandemics and things like that all benefit the drug companies, and so it's there has to be like healthcare is an issue. Okay, healthcare is an issue. I think that everybody obviously should pay into healthcare, but I think it's more and more a situation where if there's an opportunity for people to get healthcare, like I said, there should be a path for people to get healthcare. Obamacare crushed the healthcare industry.
It was poorly planned.
Prices, but it's there's a lot of things, like they just don't have policies. The problem is that Trump is one by one solving each one of these issues. You know,
the Middle East thing was huge.
Did you see the thing that they got going on with? It just was announced. It's going on in Abilene, Texas, where the $500 billion.
Yeah, Sky. What's it called? Sky. Well, everyone keeps saying it's Skynet. Well, they think it's Skynet from Terminator.
No, Star something. It is like that.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
Stargate. That's it.
Stargate, not Starlink. Stargate. Yep.
I mean, they're going to try
AI $500 billion. Yeah, they're building the factories right now to produce AI chips.
Yep.
That will allow for integration all the way through every system possible with artificial intelligence, which I think it is the beginning of the end for us.
I've been quiet for a while. That sounds absolutely terrifying.
It does.
Here's the problem with AI. The problem with AI is, as a whole,
you can't shut it off.
Once it's already out of the bag. So
yeah.
Once it's out of the bag,
you can't stop
it. Unless they put governors, is that the word?
That's what I said. I said governors.
That was you. Yes. Unless they put governors on it in some way, shape, or form,
it's going to keep.
It's just going to roll downhill, and there's going to be a golden age in the world because of it. And then the next step is going to be AI takes over. You know,
Terminator. It'll be Terminator.
Yep. There's going to be a golden age where people are going to have like the ability to do things.
Everything done for them.
We're not going to go to work. The government's going to send us a check. Everything the socialists want. And then all of a sudden, the Nazis come out. Trump. It'll be Trump 2056. And it'll be the end of the world.
28 years old at that point. I look like he's 28.
Right.
So the last question I have to ask was, Trump was very angry the other day because Russia attacked Ukraine, and they're supposed to be in peace talks.
Well, they've been attacking him all the way through.
Well, right, but they're supposed to be in the peace talks, and there was supposed to be no fighting. And Putin just said, "Fuck it," and bombed the hell out of Ukraine. And Zelensky, I think he's awesome, but he was no help to anything. What were your thoughts on this? Because Trump was supposedly he had this going in the right direction, and it seems like they've taken 2 steps back.
Well, Russia's Putin's not dumb. Russia's not dumb. What they'll do is string it out as long as they can to be able to get more of the land grab that they want.
That's what they want.
They want the land grab.
Back.
Well, they want a buffer, and they also want some guarantees from the UN.
They want it
about not insulating defensive areas all along the Russian NATO border. That's the biggest thing. Realistically, this war, in all honesty, was created by the United Nations by allowing
Trump said he would have stopped it
by allowing missile sites to be put into Ukraine and to be put into the surrounding areas that border the Soviet Union. After a while, the Russians felt so threatened by all this armament around them that basically that's why they went into
the war.
Absolutely,
Frank has a very valid point. Like,
I didn't know that.
Putin could do nothing in that situation. The thing is, Putin just kind of went all in right away. He said, okay, and just went, all right, we're going to war really quickly. He just said, you guys go this way, that's an act of war, boom, and that was that. He's like, we'll crush Ukraine and get the land we want.
So that's the whole thing. He wants to take Ukraine.
At the end of the day, the UN side or Ukrainian side has to give concessions. Putin saw the writing on the wall with the armaments, so he said, this is the best move. If I do this now, I'll probably come out with the most on the other side.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
he didn't care about sacrificing, I don't know, but Frank, how much are the Russian casualties right now?
How much are what? Listen, the casualties are hundreds of thousands across the board on each side. Yeah, no, without a doubt.
So what's population of Russia?
They're well, yeah. I mean, it's
what's population of Russia?
I don't know. Could be 100 million.
All right, so he sacrificed Putin's look at this like above all else, he's a pragmatist. So you look at it, I can sacrifice a couple hundred, whatever, 900,000 people have how many million, and I'm not going to get ousted from power, and we'll come out better.
143.8 million.
143 million. But you got to realize right now they're recruiting and they're drafting
the 50-year-old
in their 50s
to go.
So they're running out of bodies too. They're running out of people that want to do it. I mean, obviously, a lot of people forced to do
they're
it.
gonna have a. Why do you think there's so many Ukrainian mail order brides all over the place right now?
Yeah, I gotta get one. Dave,
Yes,
what do you
do, Steve?
That
yes, you do.
Putin went against their peace agreement that they were working through to end the war and just decided to attack Russia this weekend.
Yes, it's par for the course. He did it because, hey, we'll get more in the end.
Okay, I was asking Dave, but okay, Dave.
I don't care.
Putin seems to be obsessed with pushing Ukraine back and defeating them in totality, which is not going to happen. But the fact that he's not, that Trump feels like he doesn't have the relationship that he thought he had.
He did say that, yes.
It's a little alarming.
He did say
that he basically, in his statement, implied that, like, is Putin all there? Like, I like Putin, but
yeah, he said he was shocked by it.
Yeah, he said he was shocked by it. So that makes me a little nervous. That Putin is at a point where he feels his back is against the wall, and he's not really taking in other diplomatic suggestions on some of these things. That's a little concerning from a global standpoint of their things. If he doesn't come to the table at some point, what are they just going to do? Like, keep fighting over this? I don't know.
It'll just keep going on. It's been 3 years.
Yeah. They want to beat them in their listen, they want the Ukraine people to submit to them. There's
And
no
that's
doubt.
never gonna
Putin,
happen.
there's
Yeah.
no doubt Putin wants that. I mean, he wants the land that he wants, and it's, I don't know. The whole situation is a volatile part, but I do agree with what you said about it was all stemmed from trying to get them in NATO. There was no point in putting Ukraine in NATO.
In NATO, right? That's
There was
what Zelensky
no point.
wanted. Yeah.
Now he may have invaded them. It may have been an excuse to invade and try to get was it Crimea, I guess. But
He did get Crimea though.
right. So I just don't understand the point, because the only side that I see on the Russian side, Putin's side of this whole thing, is he just doesn't want NATO at his border.
Correct. That's 100% what it is, Dave.
Their weapon pointed at him.
There's a
Just like-
2011 treaty signed between the Soviet Union and the United Nations, saying that the lines that were there from Crimea, wherever it was, the lines that were divided were done, and that is it. There should be no more impediment, or not impediment. There should be no more interference by the United Nations as far as approaching closer to the Soviet border. And then the next thing you know, you've got weapons that are basically in Ukraine pointing at the Soviet Union. This was all mounted and started the aggression. Now, granted, Putin went through with it.
He started, yeah.
Right. But all of this buildup aggression was the United Nations creating this. If not, this would have never happened.
All under the Biden regime while they were asleep in the wheel.
Yes.
Well, Dave, there is that, but Frank, I want your input on this too. Do you think that the policy during the Biden administration seemed to be one of appeasement? Like we just kind of gave in, take Crimea. There was another situation too where we just kind of said, okay, we're not going to stand in the way. Do you feel like that policy of appeasement emboldened Putin?
Well, sure, it did. Emboldened almost everyone around the world.
Made us look weak.
We've basically been the laughing stock the last 4 years on international policy.
Okay.
I mean, everyone said, it used to be, oh my God, here come the Americans. Now it's like, here come the Americans.
They're not going to do anything.
Nothing. You're going to get nothing except money and weapons. All we're going to give everybody is money and weapons.
You're right.
Right. So bottom line, no pressure by our administration towards this whatsoever. No negotiations, no lines of communication, no nothing. Just money. And here's another thing. Liberals are for peace and they're for love and they're for but yet they're championing, hey, you know what, we're so happy,
we're supporting Hamas.
We're supporting Ukraine, and Ukraine is fighting and demoralizing and diminishing Russia's force by killing off and blowing up their tanks and their planes and their rocket launchers. Let them fight it out, let them kill each other, that way the United States can get stronger. Wow, that's a great foreign policy right there. That'll make friends with everybody. Ukraine will love the United States because we just let the Soviet Union go in there and wipe out hundreds of thousands of their military and civilians. And the Soviet Union, I mean, basically
Russia.
putting
you can't call them a Soviet
I
Union.
call them Soviet Union. All right, Russia.
You're still
Russia.
in 1985.
I love that.
Russia.
Right. Russia, on the other hand, will be so thrilled with the United States using a third party to try to eliminate them. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
So it's stupidity.
Dave, do you think that this war will come to conclusion in the next year or two? Or do you think that Putin's just going to do what Putin does?
Well, there's going to become a breaking point, I think.
Where the U.S. will get involved more, you think?
Or
the UN?
Difficult discussions with Russia, difficult discussions with Ukraine to get to some point. I mean, I think Trump wants to make that happen.
He does. If he can end that war and the Israel-Hamas war, he's the greatest president in the last 50 years.
If he ends out, he's 50. I mean, he's gonna be on Mount Rushmore if he's able to solve those two things. Because
Yeah, no, I agree. The last thing, I just wanted to pay tribute to one of our favorite TV actors from Cheers, George Wendt. He passed
Oh.
away.
Oh, yeah.
Love Norm. Norm was a classic. Normie. Yeah. I Cheers was before my time, but I went back and I watched the entire series like 4 years ago, and I thought it was one of the funniest shows I'd ever seen.
Oh, so you didn't right because you're younger, so you didn't watch it.
No, it didn't start until 82, which was around when I was born. So like I never watched it. And so I
Bro,
watched.
you unrefined swine. That was like.
Did you watch it? Well,
No,
Tyler's
it
like
was
48,
like
so he watched
10,
it.
11 p.m. Thursday, Friday night show
Yes.
on cable.
Yes, on NBC. Correct.
Bro, like I usually have like a Pop War game the next day. I'd be up.
And you watched it live when it used to be on?
Not live. I was watching like early reruns.
Yeah.
I watched it live.
Yeah, I
Goddamn,
watched it live too.
Yeah,
said-
Frank
I
had
read-
to have watched it live.
I was actually
watched
there
the
in the
thing is,
background.
like,
I was behind George Wendt.
no,
If you
my
didn't see
point,
the extras, that was me at the
as far
bar.
As far as TV goes, Dave and I are like two separate generations of like TV viewers. We both be like, yeah, dude, I watch Cheers.
No, I watched
Yeah.
it, and it's just amazing to hear that it was ahead of its time.
Yeah, I was there.
And they tried to keep everyone moving because it was in a bar, and it
Yep.
almost got canceled after the first season because of low ratings. And the ratings got huge because that summer, when everyone was off, Cheers aired reruns, and the people that didn't watch it during the season watched it that summer, and that's when it
That's
started.
like the early onset of streaming.
And then it was one of the few shows that had cast changes in between that grew in popularity. They said when Coach died, the bartender, and Woody Harrelson came in, the ratings went up. When Shelley Long left and Kirstie Alley came in, the ratings went up. When Frasier came in, the ratings went up.
Dude, Cheers helped make Kirstie Alley.
Yeah, no, it was ahead of its time. It was definitely ahead of its time. Ted Danson was great.
You know what else it was also a part of? I don't know if you know this, but when it was on Thursdays, it was
NBC.
It was the Cosby Show. The lineup was Cosby Show, Family Ties, Cheers, and then Night Court.
And then it ended
I remember
Night Court is a severely underrated series.
And then it ended up being the Cosby Show, Seinfeld, and Cheers.
Is that right? Seinfeld was the one that went in behind Cosby Show?
Correct. Yep. Because Cheers was at 10 o'clock, and I believe Seinfeld was right before it. So they were lead-ins, because if you remember Seinfeld, George Costanza, during the season where in Seinfeld they make the TV show, George Costanza wants the Ted Danson contract. That was his big argument. He thought he should be paid like Ted Danson because they appeared before Cheers.
That's the greatest show of all time.
I'm a Seinfeld guy. I am a Seinfeld number one. But Cheers, I put it
Cheers
top 5.
Up there.
Right.
Top 5 for sure.
Seinfeld's great, but I don't
It's
hold
not
that
your
high
sense of
regard.
humor.
We
I
cannot
know.
argue with those numbers and the influence it had.
Well, that's what they said. Like Cheers back then used to average 28 to 30 million viewers per show. Now network television, they're lucky to get 7, 8, 9, 10 million viewers per show. That's the difference because streaming and everything.
I was a big fan of any of those.
Yeah.
I watched MASH. MASH was big with me.
The MASH finale. The MASH
That was
finale
like 100 million, I think it was.
is the largest TV
viewing
audience ever.
Yep.
Nothing
Alan
has
Alda. Who else was there?
How the F do you know that, Steve?
Because I'm smart, Tyler. I'm smart. I'm educated.
What was his name? McLean.
I never watched MASH.
Yeah.
Is MASH a funny show?
MASH was great.
Well, it's about the war, though, right?
Korean
It's
War.
good, but meh.
Okay, I've never watched
me,
MASH.
I grew up on MASH. That's why. I grew up on MASH and Sanford and Son and the Jeffersons and Good Times.
The Jeffersons.
Those are all
Good
series
Times
I
is a great
grew up
show.
with. Great show. Great show.
Yep.
But they said Cheers was also the first series that had like long-term storylines. They didn't every episode, they didn't conclude it.
Right.
And that was also put them ahead of their time. So
what do you mean they had long-term storylines? Like at the end of each episode, it went into the next one?
Yeah, like you know how if you watch like a 13-episode series, like Dexter, whatever, Dexter had long-term storylines that concluded at the end of the season. Cheers was one of the few shows that had story arcs that would last 2 to 3 episodes. Like every episode didn't always conclude. Cheers was one of the first episodic television series that had story arcs.
Yeah, remember the announcer would come in and go on the previous episode of Cheers.
Yes. And
I do not remember that, but okay.
And they had some that didn't conclude until the season finale. So, and that would keep people.
Frasier was the spinoff. When did they have that show? That show.
Frasier. Kelsey Grammer is he played one character the longest out of anyone in television history. Frasier came right after Cheers. It was a spinoff.
Did he pass away?
No.
Kelsey Grammer's still alive?
Yeah, he's still alive. Yeah. But he had like,
surprisingly good. I would have never thought.
I watched Frasier too. Frasier was hilarious. Yes.
Hilarious.
And,
father, the brother.
The father passed away. Yes. But Kelsey Grammer had like severe addiction problems and had to go to rehab. Like during the
I didn't know that.
I read the story about Cheers, and they said he would show up to the Cheers set just hungover, looking like crap, and then boom, when the camera was on, he snapped right into Frasier mode. Didn't miss a line. He was perfect. But they they staged an intervention for him. He had like 2 of them, and I think it was the third one that finally, it took. But he was crazy when he was on Cheers.
So cold.
No wonder he was all undressed. So it says here, a tragedy for Kelsey Grammer. Kelsey Grammer's younger sister Karen was murdered when she was 18 years old in 1975.
And then he went through a divorce.
She was kidnapped and sexually assaulted before being killed, and Grammer had to identify her body.
Yeah, well, then he had a divorce going on during Cheers, and that's what screwed him up.
I found Kelsey Grammer's wife in Cheers strangely attractive.
Babe Newworth. Yeah, she was hilarious. Because she would take her hair down, and then you'd see the wild side of her.
Yeah,
she cracked me up. They were both psychiatrists.
Yeah,
they cracked me up. And then Shelley Long was the enemy of Cheers for leaving the show, and everyone slammed her because she left the show.
She passed away, did she?
No,
she didn't pass away either.
No, nobody passed
away.
Just George Wendt.
Just Coach and
George. A lot of
Wendt.
actors died lately.
George Wendt just died, which is sad. George Wendt was awesome.
Coach is dead.
Coach died during the series.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. They're one of the few series that survived several cast changes.
Right. Ted Danson's still alive?
Yes.
Yes.
Everyone thought when Shelley Long left that the series would die with her.
Kirstie Alley still alive?
So popular.
Yeah.
Kirstie Alley did a great job, and that was a tough spot to go into.
Oh, it was horrible.
Wait a minute. Who was the guy that played the mailman?
That was Cliff.
Horrible.
He's dead.
He's not dead.
That was the guy that just died.
Cliff's not dead.
That's the guy that got us the story, Frank.
Cliff Clavin is not
dead. We're talking about Cheers.
What's his real name?
That's why we're talking about Cheers right now.
I don't know. I can't remember his real name.
It's like a Polisher. It's a long name.
I know. Cliff Clavin. I can't remember his real name. He's not dead. I'm gonna look it up.
No, he's dead.
He's not dead.
Yeah, I think he's dead.
They originally interviewed
John Ratzenberger.
Yeah, Ratzenberger.
Let's see.
He's not dead.
I guess not. Hold on a second here.
Alive.
Yeah, I told you.
I guess he is.
Yeah, you want all these people to be dead. They're not dead.
I never really watched the series that much. It was good.
Oh, you didn't watch Cheers?
I don't know. If it was on, I'd watch it, but I never really week to week. It's not my gig. I didn't watch Friends. That wasn't my gig either.
No, Friends.
Seinfeld, I didn't like. They're all too snarky.
You don't have.
They're all like Harvard grad people. They all sounded really.
That's not true.
They sounded like it. They sound too overly
Costanza
educated.
never sounded overly educated.
Costanza, Kramer? Yeah. No, Kramer thought he was overly educated, but he was sewer trash. So no, I wasn't a big.
He's slamming Seinfeld. Okay.
No.
All right.
Jeffersons was a good show.
Yeah. Okay. You like the Jeffersons.
George
Jesus
Jefferson.
Christ.
All right. For another.
The family.
All in the Family. I never watched much of it. I watched it here or there. Never watched that much of it.
Okay.
No,
that's great.
It's too racist for me.
For another banner, Rebel Republic, the voice of reason himself, Frank Cristiano, Coach David Schumann, our chief political correspondent out in the field. Tyler, the Marauder King.
In a political tank inside the borders of Gaza.
Tyler's in the Russia.
I was just saying Minneapolis.
No, he's in Russia and Ukraine. He's our political correspondent. He's live from Russia. Yeah. He's in the middle of the war.
Yo, it's crazy out here.
He's talking about the missile.
It's crazy. It's crazy out there. It's crazy out there. The drones everywhere.
Tyler's just taking a chance. He's our political correspondent. So, all right. Well, Dave, just remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges, throw them right back at life.